There's another one. Stem length is trivial. Stem length simply doesn't matter on a bicycle. And you're going to go, well, what are you talking about? You're crazy. This is if you're designing a bicycle with a particular stem in mind. You can choose any length you want. I mean, there's other parameters within the bike, but you don't have to worry about the stem length. It can be anything, as long as the parameters that you care about that really drive the situation are in place. I've actually done this in 3D space when people were talking about stem length is very important. And granted, you see me using crazy front ends. I'm not arguing that you shouldn't be trying different things, just that this is 120 millimeter stem length. This is all in 3D space. These are real numbers, really calculated. This is a 40 millimeter stem. 3 times longer stem. Both are at a 65-degree head angle, and both have the sweep angle at 20 degrees from horizon. Same handlebar itself. It's a 12 millimeter rise handlebar. Everything is the same from one to another, just the stem length has changed, okay? I move the handlebar 10 degrees of rotation, whereas I note it over here. Oh wait, where do I note it? It should, oh there it is, right there. 10 degrees of rotation around the steering axis, and we can see that for the 120 millimeter one, the total movement, looking from one side, is 66.7 degrees, 7 millimeters. On the 40 millimeter, it's 68 millimeters. We've added 80 millimeters to that stem length, and guess what? The ends of the handlebar are moving less on the long one than on the short one. Isn't that cool? How many other people have mentioned that in all these years of short stems are rad? Here, I'm showing you the change in position. Now, this is looking directly from the right-hand side. This is the measurements. It was tougher for me to model. I had to invent a whole scenario here in 3D. But from point to point in 3D space, on the 120 millimeter one, it's moving 70.3 millimeters from that point to that point in 3D from one position to the other. On the 40 millimeter, it's 68.5. Now, when it comes to, and these are, here it is, 785 millimeter handlebars. These are not fantastical numbers. Check this out. The actual leverage that you have over the end of the grip in the longer stem scenario, you actually have more leverage on this longer one than on the shorter one. Now, if you read all the magazine articles about the superiority of shorter stems, it doesn't seem to conform with this. I would argue almost everything they've said. Now, of course, if you're on a bike that's in front of you and you change stems, you've just changed a ton of our other variables, just like we talked about before with my wife's bike changing the stem. What does that do? Where does that move the center of mass? But that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking actual stem. How does it change if you're designing a bike so that your handlebars are where you want your handlebars or your hand grips? Ahead of that, you can do anything you want as long as the rest of your geometry is doing what you want. It doesn't matter if you're using a 40 or a 120 bar. I would say it's trivial, between 70 and, what's that, like 1.8 millimeters? You guys think you can notice 1.8 millimeters when hauling ass down some rough single track? Or even on a pristine velodrome, do you think you're going to notice 1.8 millimeters difference of hand grip location? I mean, how much am I moving it right now? About 20 millimeters? You know? We need to get serious when we're making up all this BS that we read on those magazines. And we need to start pushing back. Because I didn't make these numbers up. These are the numbers it reported back to me. I'm using real parts. Is that cool? I think it's cool. I love this stuff. I love when I find out that the emperor wears no clothes. It also makes me sad. When we're designing a bike or we're planning out a bike, a lot of bike builders or frame designers or people that talk about bike or read geometry ignore the handlebar and stem. They completely ignore the handlebars and stem. And it's to their detriment because it's crucial in the design of a bike. Here I'm showing a 40 millimeter stem with flat race face flats, 185s or whatever, and race face 1 1/4. Same stem, and I've got it at a 65 degree head angle, very common head angle, 20 degree of sweep angle from horizon. And I'm showing the different positions that we end up in. I've highlighted these values here because for this stem and bar combination to match the exact same height, or close enough to it, we have to run a 33 millimeter spacer, and we'll do that. But this configuration here is, 18 millimeters further back from the center of the head tube there, right? We've made a very important choice just on choosing one handlebar versus another in terms of if we're trying to place the end of our handlebars very precisely, how does that affect our actual reach over the bike? This stuff's important, right? Look down here, we're gonna match the offset. So it's offset the same. We have this 40 with flat bars versus the rise bars. To match the offset in terms of distance, say, from the bottom bracket, we have to run spacers under this, but to get it into that position. But look, that's 90 millimeters versus 52. That's almost, 38 millimeters difference in height just by making a small choice like that. So I would say if you're designing a bike in BikeCAD or even in your CAD, the dimensions of your stem and handlebar are truly important in your bike design. And that you really need to narrow that stuff down so at least if a change is going to take place later, it's far closer to actual conditions that you expect than just say, oh, I like a 480 millimeter reach. It's like, that's utterly meaningless. You're talking about the position here. When we talk about, when you read the headset and stack reach and all those numbers, I don't care where the upper headset is. Do you care? Do you think it matters where the upper headset is? How come that's what they keep telling me about? Yeah. They keep telling me about the upper headset stack. Have you ever been riding single track and gone, damn, I wish my headset stack was lower? No, I haven't either. Why do they keep telling me that it is? That it's important where my headset is? It's weird, isn't it? You'd almost think they don't know what they're talking about. You'd almost think that, you know? But here's the thing, we're concerned about this. So it starts getting very important in our geometry choices what our stem and handlebars are. And you can choose whatever you want to get to the goal you want. These are just some ones that I thought would be common and easy to understand. But the thing is that it's crucial in your design. Just like it doesn't matter what your stem length is. I mean, it matters where your hand grips are. It doesn't matter what your stem length is. You know? Granted, if you're using a very long stem, you're probably shortening your front center, and that's generally not very good unless you're going to be running pace lines or, you know, carrying your bike up a stairs for a, you know, or putting it in a train. You know, even on all-road bikes, they're far too short. Like, they're insanely short. They're basically just crip bikes with fat tires. It's just, no one's done the work, you know, because anytime you go off-road, you need a dropper and long front center. Just start there. Dropper and front center. Anyway,